What does it truly mean to be a worthy parent? What lies at the heart of raising a family with honor and truth? The story you are about to share speaks of the real essence of good parenthood, virtuous, meaningful, and worth living by. May these words invite you to reflect, correct what needs mending, and strengthen what is good in your own life and home. These truths hold weight, yet what makes a parent truly worthy if their way of raising their children is built on deceit and hidden schemes? Is it right to grasp for wealth or reputation through what is taken unjustly? Or to cloak every fault behind a carefully crafted face of goodness and piety for all to see? To those who live by virtue, no greater shame exists than this kind of pretense. Forgiveness may be spoken lightly and given easily, but the weight of a clear conscience and the regret that follows wrongdoing runs far deeper and lingers far longer. So then how do we carry out parenthood in a way that lets our family stand firm, grow strong, and truly flourish? Thyself.
Woman secretly tested her sons and their wives, and the result shocked the entire family. There was an elderly woman who had 3 sons. All of them were married and busy with their own lives and families, while their mother lived alone in an old house surrounded by silence and memories. Her sons rarely visited her anymore, and many nights she would sit by herself wondering, have I really become this much of a burden? One day, she decided to visit her eldest son and spend the night at his house. He welcomed her politely, but his wife seemed uncomfortable from the moment she arrived. The night passed quietly. The next morning, the old woman asked for a bottle of water. She drank a little, then secretly poured the rest onto the bed she had slept on. A few moments later, her daughter-in-law entered the room. The old woman lowered her head in shame and said softly, "My daughter, forgive me. I think I wet the bed. This is what old age does to people." Instantly, the woman's face changed with anger. She began shouting at her and insulting her with harsh words. Then she snapped, "Wash the mattress yourself before you leave, and don't let this happen again." The old woman felt deeply hurt, but she said nothing. With her trembling hands, she washed the mattress herself, waited for it to dry, then quietly left the house. After that, she went to visit her middle son. That night, she repeated the same test. The next morning, she poured water onto the bed again, then told her second daughter-in-law that she had wet the bed. But this time, the reaction was even worse. The woman exploded with anger and humiliated her in front of everyone. The old mother looked toward her son, waiting for him to defend her, but he remained silent. Silent, as if the woman being insulted was not his own mother. At that moment, the old woman felt her heart break for the second time, so she quietly left. Finally, she went to her youngest son's house. When he opened the door, he smiled warmly, kissed her forehead, and welcomed her inside with love. The next morning, she did the same thing again. She poured water onto the bed, then said softly to his wife, "My daughter, I think I wet the bed." But this time, the young woman immediately smiled kindly and said, "Don't worry, mother. This is what happens when people grow old." Then she gently held the old woman's hand and added, "How many times did we wet your clothes when we were children, yet you never became angry with us." Then she took the mattress herself and washed it as if nothing had happened. Meanwhile, the youngest son kept joking with his mother and comforting her so she would not feel embarrassed. That night, For the first time in years, the old woman slept with peace in her heart, and when she left their home, she left smiling. But none of them knew that everything had been a test. A few days later, the old woman invited all 3 sons and their wives to her house. Everyone sat together in one room. Beside her sat a writer holding papers and ink. The family exchanged confused looks. Then the old woman finally spoke. She said calmly, "I never wet the bed." Silence filled the room. Then she continued, "I only poured water onto it because I wanted to know who among you still carries mercy and kindness in their heart." Everyone lowered their heads in shame. The 2 older daughters-in-law looked terrified. Then the old woman turned toward the youngest son and his wife and said, "This is a truly righteous woman. She saw me not as a burden, but as a mother who had grown old after years of sacrifice." Then she brought out a box filled with jewelry and placed it in front of them. After that, she instructed the writer to transfer all her wealth, land, house, and savings to her youngest son and his wife. The room froze in shock. The 2 older sons and their wives were filled with regret, but it was too late. Then the old woman looked at them with eyes full of wisdom and pain and said, "Kindness is never lost. Whoever plants mercy in the hearts of others will one day receive mercy in return many times over. And whoever eases the pain of someone weak, God will send people to ease their pain when their difficult days come." Then she looked toward the youngest daughter-in-law and said, "This woman did not see me as an inconvenience. She saw a tired mother who had spent her life sacrificing for her children, and God never disappoints hearts filled with compassion." After a moment of silence, the old woman and spoke words that brought tears to everyone's eyes. "Do not forget, one day you were children too. You cried through the nights, exhausted us during the days, and we cleaned you, carried you, and stayed patient with you no matter how tired we were." Then she slowly raised her trembling hands and said, "So when your parents become weak and old, do not see them as a burden. Remember that these same hands once carried you when you could not even stand on your own." Her voice softened as she continued, "Parents do not need money from their children as much as they need mercy, gentle words, patience, and the feeling that their years of sacrifice were not meaningless." Then she ended with words that left everyone crying. "Just as your parents carried you with love and patience when you were small, carry them with loyalty and mercy when they grow old. Because life goes in circles, and the way you treat your parents today may become the way your children treat you tomorrow." If you agree that parents deserve more respect, comment Amen and share this message.